Jean-Christophe, you know, the children and their family just saw the film. Tell us a little bit of your history with the two characters. You knew Ernest and Celestine before you started working on this film, correct?
Oh yeah. To tell the truth, there are two things. I got married with a Japanese. My wife, she's Japanese, and when she came to France, she had a big suitcase, and inside the suitcase there are all the albums of Ernest and Celestine as a Japanese version. So I saw Ernest and Celestine, but it was written in Japanese. And I was working at this, when the first film was made, I was working in the same company and I was doing another movie with the same producer. So I just look at what they were doing, and I wished I could work on Ernest and Celestine one day because I love the characters and
What do you love about them?
the a lot of things. You know, the author Gabrielle Vincent, the creator of this duo, she was initially a painter, and she took a pen name to make these books because being an author for children books was not well seen, because children books were considered at that time to be a sub-art. But what interested her was children, and she considered them to be full-fledged people. And with Julia, we also share the same vision. We strive to make good films for young audience and families by considering children as future adults we may perceive more than we think. So that's really my something that I really want to do in my life, and I share this with Gabriel Vincent. Also, it's a very special duo. They are completely different, but they love each other. So yeah, I love these characters.
You raise your hand if you have questions, and I'm going to go and ask one more question myself to Jean-Christophe. The film, you mentioned that Gabriel Vincent was a painter, and the film is hand-drawn animation. And can you explain a little bit to our audience about the technique and what makes it special and specially fitting for this film?
It's inspired from Gabrielle Vincent's artwork. You know, she has wonderful drawing, and she watches the people all the time, and she can capture the essence of something that is happening between two persons. So we have to integrate this way of working. We have to work the same way. So, and we feel that the hand-drawn drawing can give a special artistic emotion to the audience. It's different from the 3D films that are good, but there is something special about like a painting is different from a picture. There is something that gives some special emotion. So we gathered a team of animators who could actually work this way and do directly the kind of drawing Ernest and Celestine drawing. Because in 2D, usually you have a rough drawing, you have a cleanup, you have several steps to make it clean. But in Ernest and Celestine, it's not the way it works. It's just a rough drawing and it's done. So it all comes from the art of the animators, the people drawing the characters.
Question? Here.
It was a great film, by the way. I very much enjoyed it, and my daughter did too. Did the theme, you're obviously in the arts yourself, did the theme of the film of a parent trying to guide a child to a more traditional career resonate with you, as opposed to the arts, resonate with you at all, or your collaborators?
Did you get that?
Can you repeat it?
Yes, of course. He's enjoyed the movie, and so did his daughter. Was a
Thank you.
beautiful little blonde girl with curls, and is asking if the theme of parents trying to force or to impress on their kids a more traditional career as opposed to the arts is a theme that resonates with you personally and with your colleague that work on the film.
Hopefully, my parents they didn't like when I said I wanted to become an artist and I gave up all my studies. They were not so happy, but they let me choose that way, so I could do this job thanks to them. And for me, the theme of the film is that it's up to everyone to write the scripts of their own life. That finally, it's for example, Ernest, who wanted to be a musician, instead to become a judge, fled his country to escape the law of it's like that and not otherwise. But because of the broken violin, he will have to go back to his home country and confront his father and the consequences of his choices. And he's going to have to solve all of this. And by facing this, he's going to push his father to change and the whole country as well. So what we want to say is that we are all subject to many constraints related to family, the society. Sometimes you can feel powerless about what's going on in the world, but at the end of the day, it's all depends on human beings. It all depends on ourselves. So every person is different. Every person should be respected, and every person is unique. And I think that young people, in my country, it's very administrative. Young people are not so much encouraged enough to develop themselves. They are advised to be safe, but I believe that the future life lies in the pioneering spirit and creative daringness of today's youth. And my personal story resonates with this because I had a lack of confidence in myself, but I learned that when you make a determination, it all depends on yourself. So that's what I want to share with young people, that they can achieve their dreams. Nothing is closed. They can open their future. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, he's saying yes. Anyone else? There is one there.
Merci beaucoup pour le film, magnifique, on a beaucoup apprécié.
Is thanking
Merci.
for. I have to translate for the others. Thank you very much for the film. They loved it.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the music development and how, what was the choice around klezmer and how the music was developed along with the script?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Interesting question. We've worked together, me and Giulia, we've worked together with the composer, and we had a collaboration on the TV series, ERNEST and CELESTINE, the collection, and we quickly got used to working with Vincent Courtois from the start, very start. We searched together what would be good for the film and the music. So usually the music is done at the end. You do the film and then you do sound effects and music. But we didn't work that way because the music is related to the story itself. So we drew the storyboard with Giulia and made a first rough edit by integrating the first sample of the music that Vincent Courtois prepared in parallel. We really worked in parallel with the composer from the very beginning. So it was important to build the film that way because in many scenes it is clearly the music that tells what is happening and that conveys the emotion. In many cases, for example, there are some scenes without any dialogues, and it's the music that tells the stories. And it's not in the original script. It's something that we build from the very beginning together. Me, Julien, drawing, and Vincent Courtois, the composer. So it's so important, the music for this film, that the composer convinced the best solo musician.
He's coming back. He says it's the line. It's on and off sometime. Hopefully, he's coming back.
Back?
Yeah, he's back.
Oh, maybe was it clear? Oh.
Yeah, I think that the question was answered. Yeah. You just disappeared for the last 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's a very important question, because the way we work is we work very early with the composer. When we draw the story, we drew it with drawings, voices, and music from the very beginning. Also with the actors, very early we recorded the actors.
Speaking of drawings, how did you imagine the country of GIBBERITIA, which is something between an imaginary country and a real one?
Yes, exactly. From the very beginning, GIBBERITIA is said to be a bear country, and also an isolated country with no connection with the world. That they are very special way of living, laws, things. So I had memories from a trip I did in the Karakorum Highway when I was young, from northern areas of Pakistan to China, and I made a long trip in very high valleys. And these valleys, they are so remoted, and it's so high that for a very long time people lived there without any contact with the external world. And so they have their own language, they have their own traditions. So I really took inspiration from that trip to set up the journey and the country. That GIBBERITIA is a valley between two high mountains. And we took reference from the Caucasus. For example, the architecture of the house evokes that the old houses of Tbilisi in Georgia. And on the other hand, GIBBERITIA is a country whose motto is "It's like this and not otherwise." So we try to translate the motto through bizarre and absurd architecture while keeping a playful side on it. For example, we inspired by Wonderworks upside down houses. I don't know if there are some of them in the United States, I think, to design the court, the main building on the. So it's inspired from a real existing building.
There's a question there.
How much of sort of real world events and things going on, I mean, there's some hints of authoritarianism and things that are reflected in our real world. How much of that influenced the film, and is that intentional to bring to a younger audience?
Did you hear the question?
No.
Yeah. She's asking how much was the film influenced by real events that are happening in the world, and part of it was part of the intent to be able to bring through this language to bring them to the young audience.
Oh yeah. To explain the background, I have directed the TV series, and from the TV series there was a movie made. That movie gathered 4 episodes, and that was released in the theater, and it was broadcast in Russia. And I was invited to present the film in Moscow and St. Petersburg, and I met a lot of children. They really loved the film, and I saw children that really have hope. They want to be happy. They want to make their life. And I had some talk with the children. Although it's an autocrat country, there are children living there. And also I have friends in Ukraine. I've been working in Ukraine myself. So unconsciously, when we try to build this situation of autocrat country, also, of course, I was influenced by situation in Ukraine, Russia. But the moment we decide the story, the moment we choose the colors, it was before the start of the war. So, for example, I remember we carefully choose the birds symbolize the freedom, and the birds, they are, on French, we say mésange. It's blue, yellow bird. We carefully choose these colors for the hero, Mifasol. But we didn't, at that time, it was before the conflict. And when we watched the first screening, it was after the start of the war. When we watched the film, it was like something that we didn't really consciously decided, but it began to give more sense to the whole film itself. Does it make sense? Do you understand what I want to say?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, does it answer your question?
It does? Yeah. Any more questions? Then we're going to let Jean-Christophe go back to his... Oh, one more.
My nieces and nephews would love to watch it. Is there a way to watch it in America, not in the theater?
That's a good question. Soon,
Yeah.
right? Because the film will have a distributor, correct? I think we
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, G-Kids will be the distributor. So they are preparing the dubbing now, and it will be broadcast. I don't know exactly the day, the month, probably June or July. I don't know, but it will be released in United States.
Yeah, G-Kids, we do a lot of work with G-Kids, here at the cinema or our matinees. It's a very cool distributor that works with a lot of international animators and creators of really great children programming. So maybe we'll bring it back, on a Saturday, Sunday, part of the regular program. But this was a big deal because it was an international premiere, so it's nice. And thank you so much, Jean-Christophe, for being with us. This was very special. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.